मां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ श्री परमात्मने नमः। अथ द्वितीयोऽध्यायः। श्रीभगवानुवाच कर्मणैव हि संसिद्धिम् आस्थिता जनकादयः लोकसङ्ग्रहमेवापि सम्पश्यन् कर्तुमर्हसि यद्यदाचरति श्रेष्ठः तत्तदेवेतरो जनः स यत्प्रमाणं कुरुते लोकस्तदनुवर्तते। न मे पार्थास्ति कर्तव्यं त्रिषु लोकेषु किंचन नानवाप्तमवाप्तव्यं वर्त एव च कर्मणि यदि ह्यहं न वर्तेयं जातु कर्मण्यतन्द्रितः ममा वर्त्मानुवर्तन्ते मनुष्याः पार्थ सर्वशः उत्सीदेयुरिमे लोकाः न कुर्यां कर्म चेदहं संकरस्य च कर्ता स्याम् उपहन्यामि माः प्रजाः ततः कर्मण्यविद्वांसः यथा कुर्वन्ति भारत कुर्याद्विद्वांस्तथा सक्तः चिकीर्षुर्लोकसङ्ग्रहम् न बुद्धिभेदं जनयेत् अज्ञानं कर्मसङ्गिनां जोषयेत् सर्वकर्माणि विद्वान् युक्तः समाचरन् प्रकृते क्रियमाणानि गुणैः कर्माणि सर्वशः अहंकार विमूढात्मा कर्ताहमिति मन्यते। Thank you. So we are now seeing how Krishna is convincing or showing reason to Arjun from all aspects, from all sides. And in the present context, he's taking himself as an example and saying that even though I have no obligation as a creator, I yet continue to do what dharmas I have set forth that help in maintaining the creation. And also in the war itself, He has nothing to do with that war, and yet he's participating in it as required, as expected out of him. So, in that frame of thought flow that Krishna is presenting, he's telling Arjun that if Arjun believes himself to be qualified to take on a life of Shastriya Shravanam Mananam Nididhyasanam and spend the entire life only pursuing Shastra Vidya, Atma Vidya, then in that case also, keeping his own prarabdha in mind, where he's born, he has to perform his karmas as per his societal obligation. He cannot escape his expected obligations because he is from a background where his primary role is to protect the people. How do you protect the people? There are many ways a ruler protects a person. People protects people by taking care of the environment, by promoting economy, by providing infrastructure. But one very important thing that a ruler, and in our context, king doesn't mean this belongs to that era. In the present time, it could be our government. Whoever rules, whoever organizes, takes the responsibility of organizing the society. If you take that responsibility of organizing society, then you are bound by a lot of rules yourself. So, another way of protecting people, other than all these that I stated, is to control the elements in the society which harm a normal, ordinary, harmless person who's just living, pursuing his own life. Averagely, people are busy in their own life, pursuing their own artha kama, pursuing their family, pursuing their own uh, work, etc. So, if there are any elements in society which are preventing a normal life, quote unquote, that is commonly a right for every citizen. If there are elements that are going to harm their life, then the job of the government, the ruling person who has chosen to be in that place, is by controlling those elements. So, if you put it in the language of the society, the way it was built when Gita was written, or when Bhagwan said the Gita, at that time the society was still predominant, classified based on Varna and Ashrama. So, Bhagwan is reminding Arjun, I'm putting that in the present context. If Arjun was already a chosen, uh, in the democratic system, he was a chosen um, prime minister. Okay, he was a chosen prime minister or a minister. He was a minister or a prime minister. And suddenly, the minister or the prime minister goes through this personal confusion and suddenly says, I don't think I want to finish the 5 year term. I want to quit. After 2 years, the prime minister or the minister suddenly gets through, especially the prime minister. Minister can be changed easily because it's under the prime minister, but the prime minister is chosen by the, matlab, if you understand. So if he suddenly says that I will not rule, I quit, now the whole system is collapsing. You've upset the growth of the society, growth of nation, if you decide not to do what you had started choosing to do. You chose to stand for elections. You were elected. And suddenly, halfway through, you give up your hands by some personal crisis and you say, I want to quit. Draw the parallel always in your mind, studying the Gita. Because, as we have said often, Gita is not an ancient book. It's applicable now. The terminologies have to just be replaced sometimes for us to get the entire message of what Bhagwan is telling us now in this present structure of society. Are these principles still holding true? Yes, they still hold true. So, in that sense, Krishna has just reminded Arjun that you are being chosen by the people, therefore, you have to perform the duty, just as I have chosen to protect the people. For the sake of people, I have created this creation to give them anugraha. I have created the creation. If I stop doing what I'm supposed to do, then right from Manu, etc., to all the devatas, to all the prajas who look up to me with a bhakti bhav, with a they look up to me, they identify with me as their personal God. If I don't do, I am leading them also into not doing. If I don't set an example by constantly doing what they should actually be doing, so what is the real meaning of Loka Sangraha that Bhagwan puts here? When he says, I keep doing what I have supposed to do, but in the interest of the people, for Loka Sangraha, what it means to say is that I continue to do in a way showing the example, setting an example of how they should do. That means Loka Sangraha is not like many religions state it as service, as uh, just pure unselfish action. Loka Sangraha is not that. Very clearly, here, through the help of the bhashyams that we have studied, one is able to come to this understanding that Loka Sangraha means he does the action, the Jnani who has, if he thinks himself to be the Jnani, remaining in his ashram, which in the present context we are saying, uh, if you're a householder but you think yourself to have now uh, become a Jnani, then you continue to do your karma for Loka Sangraha. And what does that mean? It means, as he said in 25th verse, when he said that those who are ignorant and are attached to karma phal, and then with what enthusiasm and with what spirit and with what um, josh they pursue those karma phal, a grahastha jnani who's obligated to the society or wherever his obligations are also does the karmas but without any attachment to the fruits. That way, he is setting an example to those who are attached to fruit, in whose contact he is, means he's obligated, obviously, that's why he's working there. To whoever he is obligated, they see the difference, they learn by seeing. You don't have to teach, they learn by seeing. What do they see? They see that this is also a way to act. So, Jnani is constantly acting, setting an example of how an agyani should act, and that becomes lokasangraha. So he says, you act, O Bharata, you are belonging to this great lineage where knowledge has been the primary guidance and seeking of people. We live in the land of knowledge, illumining everyone, illumining oneself, where knowledge is illumined. You are from that stand, you are from that lineage, therefore act. But desiring to do lokasangraha, which means the only desire there could be, there would be, there should be, is I act in a way that Shastra confirms. I strive to continue to act in a way that Shastra confirms that an ignorant person should follow this way of conduct or living, with which they will be benefited and they will also come to their shreyas gradually. They keep growing and evolving and maturing spiritually. So, up to this, we saw in the last class. Now, continuing, of course, there was another side point, that if you do not think yourself to be a jnani, then anyway there is no confusion. You have to still do karam yoga. You still have to do actions without attachments for your chitta shuddhi to qualify yourself for jnana. So both ways, for one who has an obligation to society chosen by themselves, they have to abide in karma as confirmed by the Shastra Vihita Karma, which means without attachment to the fruits, Karam Karo. And that will establish a way of life, and that way of life becomes an inspiration for others to also follow. And that becomes their way, their means to grow and evolve and come out of samsara. Because when you act with attachment to fruits, the end is only samsara. That samsara nivritti. If someone doesn't understand how to, and they do not have access to shastra vidya or have the capacity to follow the shastra vidya, they are too busy in their life, then by looking at these people around who follow the Shastra Vidya, they are able to also implement that in their life, implement that way of living where they are, whether they are in the office, whether they are in private sector, government sector, organization, industrial sector, at whichever level you are a chairman, you are a manager, you are a worker, you are under someone, you are an entrepreneur, you are anybody. You're a freelancer, you are a social worker, whoever you are, wherever you are just a simple grahastha, just looking after your family. Karmas is something that you cannot escape. We saw that in the previous verses. Akarmani avastha, even for Sharir Yatra, is not advocated. You cannot continue to be without doing karmas. Therefore, he says, set examples for others to showing them how Shastra says karmas ought to be done, and for their interest continue. But now in 26th verse, he gives a caution to such gyanis, whoever is in the sector of karma, कर्म के जो अधिकारी हैं उनको एक, है ना, when we say anything, then you always have caution. Be careful about this. There's this exception there. There is a caution there. When you use this, be cautioned that if you're using an electrical appliance, be cautioned that your point doesn't have water around it, something like that. So if you are uh, in a flow of doing lokasangraha, then be careful that in that process you do not upset, you do not confuse people who are still attached to karma and results. You do not confuse them by showing them the nivritti mark. So he's saying you continue to be in your pravritti, showing the example that they are supposed to follow in karma, so that if you run away from your obligatory duty, you will confuse people by saying like you can also quit doing what you're ought to be doing, where you are responsible to do what is your response to do. You can leave that. If you do that, others will also do that, and that is something which will confuse them, because in the bhashyam it will come, because they are still not adhikaris for jnanam. So they cannot actually give up karma marg. They have to remain in karma. They have to remain doing karma first. It is when you remain doing karma can you come to karam yoga. And karam yoga is the means for your shuddhi, antakarana shuddhi. Only when you have antakarana shuddhi are you qualified for jnana marg. Very clearly said in the Shastra. So without someone being qualified for Jnana Marg, just because you are looked up to in society, you are respected in society, the society has elected you as a prime minister, and halfway through you say it is okay, I think I am now spiritually uh, awakened. Let's put it this way. I have suddenly got a spiritual goal aspiration and I have suddenly become awakened spiritually, and therefore now I am quitting what I'm supposed to do. Now you will confuse the society what they ought to do. If they follow you because you are respected, then you have thrown them into a greater, the Bhashyam will use a verse to convey that you will push them into a greater narakam. You will push them away into their own lower state of existence, because they are still not qualified. They haven't grown in karma through Karam Yoga. Therefore, prematurely, if they give up the realm of action because they are inspired by you, because they think that if you can, we can also. If you do, we will also. If it's okay for you, it must be okay for us also. If in such a way a prominent person in a society acts without responsibility towards those who look up to them, and this is everywhere, whoever you idolize, whoever it, and we see this more often in social circles, the same principles applies. So Krishna is warning Arjun, na buddhi bhedam janayet. um, Na buddhi bhedam janayet. He says, do not create a bhedaha, a split in their natural thinking process. What is a natural thinking process for any normal person? Over here, he says, those everyday people that we meet in life, that we encounter, that we live with, who are these? They are attached to karma, karma sanginam. They are attached to karma, karma phala. Who are they? Agyaninam. They are out of agyanam, out of lack of knowledge. Okay. Na buddhi bhedam. This you should not create a split in people, janayet, amongst people. Whoever is um, uh, those who look up to you, you should not um, I'm sorry, one second. Um, you should not
Chedo them.
chedo them. Yeah, you should not chedo them. Sorry?
Confuse them.
Ha,
You
ha.
should not
You
confuse
should
them.
not create confusion. Jana yet. You should not create confusion. You should not jana yet. I was looking for the create confusion. See what will happen. What is the spirit in which he's saying? If you do not do what you're supposed to do, he said, I will be the cause of sankaraha. Bhagwan was saying, I will cause all kinds of confusion with reference to karma sankara and therefore varna sankara, etc. It is creating confusion. He says, me who was supposed to be their protector, I will now lead them to their own adhogati. That is what he's telling Arjun, that you should not create confusion in people who are still attached to their karma phal. And who are these people who are attached? How are they attached? Here Shankara writes, this बुद्धि भेदः जो ऐसा सोचते हैं मया इदम कर्तव्यम, this is my कर्तव्य, by me, my कर्तव्यम, this is मेरा कर्तव्य, भोक्तव्यम च अस्य कर्मणः फलम, I have this work to do, I have this duty to do because I want to enjoy this phal. Iti nishchaya rupayaha buddhehe. This is certain in their buddhi. They do not have any other method of functioning. They do not know. वो जानते ही नहीं है नेचुरल क्या निकलता है, अपने आप यही निकलता है कि फल है तो कर्म करते हैं. Therefore, to such people, he says, do not disturb them. Who should not disturb them? Who should not create confusion? Vidvan. That Vidvan who is supposedly the one who knows. He says he knows. He says, I know, therefore I don't want to work. Such a Vidvan, he should not create confusion, should not deliberate confusion. He won't deliberately do it, but he will um, cause it. Unintentionally cause it. He will cause it unintentionally, but he will become the cause of it. Therefore, so what should this Vidwan do? Yuktaha. He should remain connected to his knowledge. He should remain connected to Shastra Vidya. जो उसको समझ में आया था, जिससे उसने ज्ञान प्राप्त किया, जैसे वो ग्रो किया, जैसे वो एंकर हुआ विद्या में, शास्त्र विद्या का पालन करके युक्त होके ये विद्वान, what should he do? जोशयेत सर्व कर्माणि समाचरण. He should remain doing समाचरण, करते रहना चाहिए. What? जोशयेत सर्व कर्माणि, with enthusiasm, with uh, causing others. He should cause others also to act. जोशयेत, वो निमित्त बनना चाहिए to make others be enthusiastic to work but without attachment. So he should not create confusion in the minds of those ignorant people who still are with the knowledge, with the belief, with the understanding that I work for my fruits tomorrow. I work for my fruits, जिसमें ये समझ आती है that person, Vidwan, should himself remain yuktah and act continuously, causing others to also act. He should he should set the example in a way that leads them to doing karma as karma yoga and not confuse them by showing them the other marg. He may be qualified for it, but by his prarabdha, by his obligation, he should also not take that so that others do not get confused. So, मया इदं कर्तव्यं च अस्य कर्मणः फलम् इति निश्चयरूपायाः भेदः भेदनं चालनं बुद्धिभेदः. Chalanam means wavering. Kabhi ye, kabhi wo, you know. So that there should not be. Tam na janayet, you should not cause that. Na utpadayet means do not create it. For whom agyanam, here in the Moolam you see the word agyanam. Who are these agyanam? As we said, see how one word can draw more attention to the knowledge, to the Shastra Vidya. Agyanam means if you just leave it as saying for those who are ignorant, then they remain ignorant forever. What is the uh, counter of that? How do you handle that state of agyanam? These agyanis are actually aviveki due to aviveka, due to not thinking. Vivek nahi hai. Because they do not have vivek, therefore, what are they? Karma sanginam. They are attached to karmas. Karmani asaktanam. They are attached to actions asangavatam. Asangavatam. जुड़ के कर्मों से जुड़ के किंतु किन्नु कुर्यात. Then what should you be doing? Joshayet. And what is the meaning of joshayet? Karayet. Karo. Karayet. Kya? Sarva karmani. Do the actions. Who should do? Vidwan. Swayam. Tat eva. He should himself do all those actions. Those actions. Tat eva. वो वाले कर्म. Avidusham karma. The ones who are not knowledgeable, to them he should do these कर्मास युक्तः अभियुक्तः जुड़ के अच्छे से समाचरण. He should cause them to act in a way that will lead them to their own growth. Here he says, who's these avivekis? Agyanam, avivekinam. Who are the avivekis? Kartritva abhimanena. See, avivek is further added one more word. Non-discernment means I can still say, can I not take a life of Vidya? Because Vidya will give me Viveka Shakti. Aviveka, but they have Kartritva Abhiman. I do. I am the doer. because of them having kartritva abhiman, they also have cha, phala abhisandhina. They are also yearning for फल, फल से जुड़ के कर्म कर रहे हैं, कर्म संगी नाम, जुड़े हैं कर्मों से, कर्मणि अभिनिविष्टानाम, लगे हुए हैं कर्म करने में फलों के लिए. सो ये अविवेकी कौन है? सिर्फ कर्म जुड़ के नहीं कर, मतलब कर्म फल से जुड़ के कर्म नहीं कर रहे, बट दे हैव कर्तृत्व अभिमान, उनके अंदर कर्तृत्व का अभिमान है या बुद्धि ही. अहम
He
एतत्,
feels he is a karta.
he
He
is a,
feels he is the karta.
yes, he feels he is the karta, he is the doer, मैं करता हूँ, you know. And this is a very important point. It is going to get connected to the next verse. So when he feels that there is so much कर्तृत्व अभिमान है उसमें, जिसमें भी, in other words, ज्ञानी समझ जाता है, क्योंकि उसका कर्तृत्व अभिमान वो त्याग चुका है, एस्टैब्लिश हो गया है उस अवस्था में कि वो कर्म कर सकता है बिना कर्तृत्व भाव के, बिना फल संधि से, वो फिर भी कर्म कर सकता है. तो वो समझता है कि कर्तृत्व अभिमान से जो कर्म कर रहा है, फल से जुड़ के जो कर्म कर रहा है, लगा है कर्म करने में, उसकी बुद्धि को, which is it, अहम एतत् कर्म करिष्ये. Wonder if there's a त missing. एकत फलम च भोक्ष्य इति. वो उसकी बुद्धि में क्या है? अहम एतत् कर्म करिष्ये, मैं ये कर्म करूंगा. करिष्ये means I must do this work. Why? Because of because of a certain फल, एक फल, particular फल. च भोक्ष्य इति, I will then have that enjoyment of that फल. भोगूंगा मैं उस फल को. इति, ऐसा सोचने वाला. तस्या, उसकी बुद्धि. भेदम, विचालनम, उसकी तस्या भेदम, दैट, भेद नहीं करना. व्हाट इज भेदम? विचलित नहीं करना उसकी समझ को, जो अभी इस समझ को इन्होंने इति करके कोट अनकोट में कर दिया. उसकी समझ को विचलित नहीं करना. कैसे? विचालनम, अकर्ता, आत्मा उपदेशेन न कुर्यात्. Completes the sentence. How will you confuse him? By giving him the upadesh of Atma is akarta. Na kuryat, do not do. So who is this a warning for? Who is this a signal for? Who is this a guidance for? Who, किसको ये लिमिट दिया है? किसको ये, what will be the right word? किसको ये उपदेश दिया? In fact, to whom is said that those who think they are now grown enough to be in Atma Vidya, they can take to Karma Sannyas, they can live with Shravana Manana Nididhyasan for the rest of their life. They have no duties at all to society, to family, to friends, to nobody, because they have established in, they are establishing, they are Vidvat or Vividishaha. They are either desirers of moksha or they're established in Atma Vidya. To both of them, they do not have any responsibility. They do not have, I'll come to that question. They do not have any obligation to the to society, to people, to anything. Yet, कर्म करते रहना चाहिए. किसको? आई एम आंसरिंग योर क्वेश्चन अनीशा. कर्म करते रहना चाहिए किसको? ऐसा ज्ञानी जो अधिकारी है ज्ञान का, मगर प्रारब्ध से, अपनी मर्जी से, वो ऐसी सिचुएशन ऑफ लाइफ है जहां लोग के बीच में वो सारे लोग जो अभी अज्ञानी हैं, कर्म से जुड़े हुए हैं, कर्म में कर्तृत्व भाव है, फलाभिसंधि है, कर्म में अभिनिविष्ट हैं, लगे हुए हैं कर्म में, उन लोगों में बाय योर प्रारब्ध अगर आप अभी भी उनके बीच में हैं, देन यू डू कर्मास एज लोक संग्रह, मीन्स वो ज्ञानी, वो अधिकारी जो ज्ञान का अधिकारी है, वो अभी भी अपने कर्म करेगा, मगर लोक संग्रह के लिए, विच मीन्स सेट एन एग्जाम्पल शोइंग दोज हु आर अटैच टू द फल। तुम फल से ना जुड़ के कर्म करो तो वो देखेंगे कि फल से ना जुड़ के भी कर्म करते हैं, और उसका फल क्या है? उसका फल एक लौकिक फल नहीं है, उसका फल चित्त शुद्धि है। और चित्त शुद्धि के लक्षण क्या है? वो अपने आप हर जीव को अच्छे लगते हैं, क्योंकि हर जीव को वही शांति चाहिए, हर जीव को वही तृप्ति चाहिए, हर जीव को वही आनंद चाहिए, वो हर जीव को पकड़ लेता है। तो automatically a person understands where is the happiness seen, where is that state of independent happiness. A ignorant person sees and learns. He may not know the prakriya, but when he sees someone acting like this, he also learns how to act. Just as how do our children pick up language at home? How do they pick up skills at home? You know, if we all remember our childhood stages, your mother tongue comes so easily. So you were never taught. Uh, Most of the Indians, even if you have studied Kakha Gaga, most of us do not know our alphabets. We don't remember them. We remember ABCD, but we don't remember Kakha Gaga. But we know the bhasha. We can talk. हम हिंदी में भी बात कर लेते हैं, अपनी मातृभाषा में बात कर लेते हैं. If you are a Tamilian or a Gujarati or a whichever is your state language, how did you pick it up? Nobody taught you the alphabet, but you learned. So you see a lot of these floating reels and all this in social media where children are imitating the elders very naturally. They'll pick up the phone. बच्चे हैं, बहुत बच्चे, उन्हें पता भी नहीं है, but they are as if talking the way their adults talk. Exactly the same principle. When people think शास्त्र विद्या बहुत बड़ी चीज है, इस चीज को धरती पे लाने में ही बहुत मुश्किल लगता है कभी. क्यों? Because people have put Shastra Vidya on another, as if it's another level, another state. They don't realize it's the most common sense method. We are all doing it, but the application is all in these areas. I hope my words were clear. We are all living that knowledge. Shastra is only telling us what we are living. हम देख रहे हैं जैसे बच्चे बड़ों को देख के सीख लेते हैं. शास्त्र विद्वान को कह रहा है, तुम भी वैसे कर्म करो, शास्त्र विहित कर्म करो कि spiritual infants will look at you and learn. That is Loka Sangraha. So I hope it's answered for you. That becomes Loka Sangraha for them. Why? उनके लिए लोक के लिए, for them, it shows them the way for their own growth. So do not hear given to them कि वो जो ऐसा कर्मों से जुड़े हुए हैं, and you know that through conversations, you know what people want when they come and talk, or when everybody, you also know, supposing your friend comes with a problem to you or is just sharing something, आपको पता चलता है कि उसकी इच्छाएं कहाँ हैं, कैसे जुड़ी हैं. अब उसको जाके ये मत कहो कि अरे आत्मा तो अकर्ता है, अभोक्ता है. you know don't. In fact, it is one of the very it's a caution given to everyone, actually, not just to teachers. You are, as I said in one of the previous classes, Shastra maintains everybody is looked upon by someone or the other in society. It's not those just few people who have this responsibility. If you're a parent, your children look up to you, your grandchildren look up to you, your nieces, your nephews, they are looking. There will be one person for every one person. There will be one person who looks up to them. To them, there is a responsibility that you have. Means if you are in that frame of society, you conduct what is to be done, but the way Shastra has said to you, so that they can see and learn. उपदेश मत दो उसको, आत्मा अकर्ता. And I'll stop at that point. People, we can all understand. He says further, किंतु युक्तः अविहितः सन विद्वान लोक संग्रह चिकीर्षु अविद्वत अधिकारिकाणि सर्वकर्मणि समाचरन् तेषां श्रद्धाम् उत्पादय. You act in a way, the translation will help probably, किंतु लोक संग्रह का चिकीर्षु विद्वान युक्त अविहित अवहित समाहित होकर, मीन्स अपनी शास्त्र विद्या से जुड़कर, वॉट एवर द अविद्वानी, अविद, it's my language today, अज्ञानी, जो अविद्वान है, जिनमें उनका अधिकार है, ऑल दोज कर्मास, समस्त कर्मों का सम्यक प्रकार आचरण करता हुआ. कौन आचरण करता हुआ? विद्वान. उन कर्मों को जिनमें अज्ञानियों का अधिकार है, आचरण करता हुआ उनमें उनकी श्रद्धा उत्पन्न करके उनका उनसे प्रतिपूर्वक सेवन कराए. मीन्स यू मेक देम हैव श्रद्धा in the method of the Shastra's method of evolution. They'll be inspired and they gain Shraddha. They see and then they don't understand how it works, but the Shraddha develops for how it works. So Joshayet, what is that Joshayet? He gives the meaning here. Certain Sanskrit words are irreplaceable in translation. So it's nice to just get the flow of it, the spirit of it, the bhav of it. Joshayet, he gives here the meaning Pritya. Pritya means sevayet. Means that Shraddha is in the form of, उनके अंदर भी एक प्रीति जागती है ऐसे करने के लिए. And then he gives now the reason. Anadhikarinam upadeshena. What is the harm of giving the upadesh of Atma is akarta, Atma is nirvikari, Atma is shuddham, nirvikaram, nirvishesham, nirgunam, satchidananda rupam, tattvamasi. What the Upanishads would teach. To an anadhikari who still, see, be very careful. An anadhikari who is still falabhisandhi and has kartritva abhiman. That is an anadhikari. Anadhikari in ज्ञान. अनधिकारी मतलब क्या है? उसका भी अधिकार कर्म में ही है. He is an anadhikari for ज्ञान मार्ग. अभी. It doesn't mean he is forever going to remain anadhikari. For now, because वो जुड़ा है कर्म फल से, उसका जुड़ने के कारण वो जुड़ना उसका निमित्त बन रहा है कि वो उसको अनधिकारी रख रहा है ज्ञान से. Therefore, such anadhikarinam means it's not a judgment, please. Let's understand, because this gets used very casually in the world and oh, they are anadhikari. Those who have knowledge start having a little air about their knowledge, and you see sometimes in students' life around, suddenly you develop this thing, oh, I know, I have done this, I have studied this, and there's this ज्ञान का एक अपना ही ऑब्स्टिकल कभी आता है जब पूरा पकता नहीं है ज्ञान. So it becomes like a judgment. No, they are not qualified. It's not like that. They are not qualified for now because of their own attachment to कर्म फल. तो जब तक उनके कर्म फल से उनका ध्यान उनका अटैचमेंट नहीं छूटता, संग नहीं छूटता, तब तक वो ज्ञान के मार्ग पे चल भी नहीं सकते. सो ही सेज अनधिकारिणाम उपदेशेन, उनको आत्मा का उपदेश दे के बुद्धि विचालने कृते कर्मसु श्रद्धा निवृत्ते है. उनकी बुद्धि को अगर आपने कंफ्यूज कर दिया तो कर्मों में, कर्मसु, इन कर्मास जो उन्हें करने चाहिए, कृते कर्मसु, द कर्मास दैट दे ऑट टू बी डूइंग, श्रद्धा निवृत्ते है, उनकी श्रद्धा उन कर्मों से करने में निवृत्ति हो जाएगी. ज्ञानस्य च, not only they will have no shraddha in doing what they are supposed to do, ज्ञानस्य च, even for knowledge, अनुत्पत्तेः, अनुत्पत्तेः उभयः, उभय भ्रष्टत्वं स्यात्. I'll go word by word. बुद्धि विचालने अनधिकारिणाम उपदेशेन, अगर वो अनधिकारी को उपदेश दे दिया आपने कि ओ आत्मा इज दिस, आत्मा इज दिस, as in the modern context of, I maintain that without some tapasya in life for Shastra Vidya means that tapasya is in the form of Karma Yoga initially. उसके बिना अगर आपको उपदेश का उपनिषद का ज्ञान दे भी दिया जाए तो भी all that happens is there is a confusion that sets in because कर्म संन्यास is attractive to everybody. ना करना सबको अच्छा लगता है. It's the easy way out. But here lies the responsibility या कर्तव्य कि जब उपदेश दिया तो जो सुन रहे हैं अगर उनकी बुद्धि में कर्म के लिए अश्रद्धा बन जाए, जो उनके कर्तव्य कर्म है, देर कर्तव्य कर्म के लिए अगर उनकी अश्रद्धा हो जाए, then what is a harm? I'll stop here first, then we'll do the second part.
सब काम छोड़ के बैठ जाए,
सब काम
छोड़ के बैठ जाएंगे, पूरा संसार ही डिस्ट्रॉय हो जाएगा जब सब अपना.
Okay, that is one part. Plus, at an individual level,
सबको तमस हो जाएगा, तमस से बहुत प्यार हो जाएगा.
okay, that's right.
So that's
Plus,
अपनी बुद्धि भ्रष्ट हो जाएगी. बुद्धि भ्रष्ट हो जाएगी, वो यूज बुद्धि होती कि क्या करना है क्या नहीं करना.
ठीक, सब ठीक. Plus,
गति, you will come to a lower gati.
You'll come to a lower gati. Very good. Plus,
मोक्ष नहीं मिलेगा.
हाँ. Plus, क्यों क्यों? Come back a step before that. क्यों क्यों मोक्ष नहीं मिलेगा?
चित्त शुद्धि नहीं होगी.
हाँ, correct. Very good. क्योंकि कर्म के मार्ग से ही तो चित्त शुद्धि होनी थी, मगर वो तो कर्म में ही अश्रद्धा हो जाएगी उसकी. अगर उसकी कर्म में अश्रद्धा हो जाएगी तो फिर उसकी चित्त शुद्धि होगी नहीं. प्लस च अनुत्पत्तेः, ज्ञानस्य अनुत्पत्तेः, अभी ज्ञान की उत्पत्ति के लायक ही नहीं बनेगा कभी. सो ज्ञान will not, he's not getting qualified for knowledge at all. So he's not qualified for ज्ञान, and he has also got now confused with reference to his karma, और वो अब disinterest कर्मों में हो गया है, कर्म नहीं करना उसको, लेकिन अब ज्ञान का अधिकारी नहीं है अभी, क्योंकि उसने कर्म prematurely give up कर दिया. It's a very important word. Prematurely giving up your realm of action without gaining the benefit of the karma. Karma is a blessing. I keep maintaining this throughout from the Shastra Vidya. मैं अपनी सोच नहीं कह रही है. Shastra says karma is a human being's blessing. To be able to act is a gift. Absolutely, it is a gift from nature. That if you are not employing, और आप कर क्या रहे हो, आप उस गिफ्ट को भोगने में यूज कर रहे हो, जबकि कर्म की शक्ति जो है जो आपकी गिफ्ट है ह्यूमन बीइंग के पास है, वो क्रिया शक्ति इज टू बी एम्प्लॉयड फॉर चित्त शुद्धि। कि अपने मन में ये जो जकड़े पड़े हैं सारे हमारे इच्छाएं और अहंकार और भोग करने की जो एक lalsa would be the right word, though I'm not sure if I understand the gravity of that word, but that deep desire to enjoy things, that is what is your bondage. उस bondage को लूजन करने के लिए कर्मा इज योर मार्ग। और अगर आप कर्म ही छोड़ के बैठ जाओ, and then everybody, many people at a certain point, I'm not so aware of what is in the present, but when this ashrams were mushrooming in the society, even Vedanta ashrams were mushrooming in the society. I'm calling them as mushrooming because when Vedanta is brought in the society, and then after a few years, then you have ashrams. Now, people who come to ashrams are not all ready for them. So there were certain, it's a track. There is this ज्ञान के लिए हाँ मुमुक्षुता है कि नहीं। अगर वो मुमुक्षुता ज्ञान के लिए है, blessed. But if this is there, then अनुपपत्तेः उभय भ्रष्टत्वम स्यात्। दोनों तरफ के बीच में से वो भ्रष्ट हो जाएगा। will be uh, will be brushed means lost the way, not qualified for chitta shuddhi and not yet qualified for knowledge. So lost the way. So lost the way means now he is confused individual, as we can say. Arjun be confused. Hai. See, what is Arjun's state? He's confused. Why?
Because the other marg is attractive.
हाँ,
कि सब छोड़ दो, हार
हाँ,
जाओ.
हाँ. और वो क्यों अट्रैक्टिव है? क्योंकि the the दुख जो दिख रहा है, that is there facing him, that he'll have the pain of losing his people, etc., etc. His attachments, yeah. That dukh se he feels, let me, anyway, he understands everybody has to go one day, but he doesn't want to be the cause of that going. उसका दुख ये नहीं है कि वो जा रहे हैं, उसका दुख ये है कि वो निमित्त बन रहा है उनके जाने के लिए, because he is going to be the main instrument of if Pandavas win the war or not. So the same thing applies to everybody. Tatha Choktam. Now, this is one of the quotations which is kind of connecting to what the verse is saying. Do not unsettle the minds of those attached to the fruits of actions, but on the other hand, you act in a way showing them how Shastra tells them and make them be inspired or develop that Shraddha to also follow that and bring them also towards their own Gati. But if you prematurely give this, then you will create brashtata, means they will lose their way, and therefore agnyasya artha prabuddhasya, either agnyasya, either he is a complete ignorant, or even artha prabuddha. Artha means what? Anybody knows ardha? Huh? Adha. Very good. Half.
Neither here, neither there.
हाँ,
Neither here,
नहीं,
neither there.
नहीं. Ardha is half. Prabuddha means Buddha. What is Buddha?
Half educated.
हाँ, half knowledge. अज्ञान है या तो पूरा ही फल शक्ति से है या अभी आधा ज्ञान है. सर्वम ब्रह्मेति यो वदेत. And if you tell them everything is Brahman, yaha vadet. Mahaniraya jaleshu. Mahaniraya jal. In that Mahaniraya is is a narakam, is a way of saying Mahanarakam. उस जाल में सह तेन विनियोजितः यह वदेत, जो बोलता है सर्वम ब्रह्म खलु इदम, सर्वम ब्रह्म खलु इदम, उपनिषद पढ़ा, उपनिषद Sarvam Brahma Khalu Idam. All this is Brahman. And you tell them to whom? Who are either Agyanis or have half baked knowledge. Then what are they doing? Saha, वो जो बोल रहा है, वो तेना उन अज्ञानियों को या अर्ध प्रबुद्धः को विनियोजितः, pushing them towards. He's pushing them actually by saying Saha Sarvam Brahma iti khalu idam. Sarvam Brahma khalu idam. Maha Niraya Jaleshu. He's pushing them towards Mahanarakam. The Hindi trans, जो पुरुष अर्थ प्रबुद्ध अज्ञानी पुरुष से ये कह देता है कि सब ब्रह्म है, ब्रह्मन है, तो वह उसको महान नरक जाल में ही फंसा देता है. Translations will always have a little meaning, little flavor different, but it helps to understand till we know it directly. We are able to see it. So therefore, so far we are all together in this clear verse. Any questions here so far? I hope your question was answered, Anisha.
So if he does something like that, Diptiji, does that cause him pap?
Very good. I'm still looking for a praman to say that, but yes, the one who says it prematurely gives it and has caused, because यहाँ बहुत clearly कहा है, you will cause them that. And if it is caused confusion, then you will also, that such a person will likely to get pap if he is not established in ज्ञान. अगर वो ऑलरेडी ज्ञान में है तो वो तो पाप और पुण्य से ऊपर है.
Okay.
तो उसको तो पाप टच भी नहीं करेगा, उसको पाप हो ही नहीं सकता, क्योंकि वो आत्मा अकर्ता में ऑलरेडी है. But those who are moving towards ज्ञान and they out of their ना समझी, थोड़ा थोड़ा ज्ञान है तो फटाफट तुम भी सुनो, that if you are excited because you know it and you are giving it because you think this is right, so others should also know it, and not realizing are they a patra for it or not, then you may incur some sort of a little, but because your intention may not be so these are very subjective things. Therefore, till I find a praman, I will never say it is so or not so. There has a verse like this which is direct. Why we are doing bhashyams is because it eliminates all personal interpretations. हमारी सोच की जरूरत नहीं है, शास्त्र हमको बता रहा है जो कुछ बता रहा है. Our idea is to just follow what they are saying. Shastra is telling us very clearly. So in an attempt to communicate, sometimes we'll end up saying things which, if there's no praman, it can again mislead. So I have still not, I've heard it, but I have still not found a praman, and therefore I cannot validate it to say.
Right, because it's unintentionally done, right?
It's not intentional.
Yes, right.
So it doesn't, it can't. So ज्ञानी को तो वैसे भी पाप नहीं चढ़ता, but
Right.
for whatever reason, if you are still struggling to establish a knowledge and you create confusion somewhere, it can come as a vigna to some degree, but this cannot be certain always. No. Okay.
Deepti, are you saying that to teach such a knowledge, you should first you should be qualified before you give it to someone else, right? Because we ourselves are not right now in a position to say Atma, to say anything on it. Until unless we ourselves don't know that, we are not the, I would say, if you come to that jnani stage, you are not in a position to teach anyone. Is that right?
That is the ideal situation. That is what Shastra says. Finally, in the 4th chapter, he is going to give the lakshanas of the teacher. A teacher should be Atmanishta. But that idealism has um, all Sankara is already seen in the society. This is Ishvara's niyam anyway. So even if someone is teaching, you have to be very careful that you teach within what your knowledge is, within where you are established. So do not overstep. That should be a good caution. And if you teach even others, then you have to be honest and say this is information based. हमें जैसा दिया गया है वैसा हम दे रहे हैं. It doesn't mean हम कुछ दे रहे हैं. हमने ऐसा सीखा, हम ऐसे सिखा रहे हैं. That is then left to the student to to take the information and digest it themselves. Clear?
जी.
That's all. No other question. Then we will, I think, end here. Continue tomorrow. And now he says, uh, now, how does the it is prarabdha is given here by the question is the difference between a jnani who does loka sangraha and a jnani who does not. Is his it is his prarabdha and his environment that he is born in. A loka sangraha jnani is given here. Let's take the context of Arjuna. That is the teaching. It's a very specific teaching. कि अगर आपका ऑब्लिगेशन रहा है, जनका का एग्जाम्पल दिया गया था, अगर आप ज्ञानी हो और आप आपके अपने प्रारब्ध में आ गया कि आप ज्ञानी होके भी सोसाइटी में भी हो, तो फिर इट इज योर प्रारब्ध. But to act on it or not is always an individual choice they have. So they are not actually bound by their prarabdha. A jnani is not bound by their prarabdha. He is not bound. He is choosing to follow where he is based on his environment where he was born. Arjun is born in Kshatriya environment. That's why I gave the example of the present times. Prime Minister has chosen himself to be the Prime Minister. अपनी मर्जी से आया है. तो अब तुम नहीं कह सकते कि मेरे को तो ज्ञान के लिए, so therefore I will not do.
So Diti, Loka Sangraha is not a compulsion on any jnani, we say.
Yes, very
No.
good. It's not a compulsion on any jnani. That is why.
Okay, so he may choose that or not.
हाँ जी.
वो choose कर सकते हैं whether
हाँ.
to do or not, or
It normally is a very natural state of the continuity of the previous. Ab Janaka was a king. He was a ruling and he was a jnani, so it continues wherever you are. So if you're a scientist and you're a jnani, you will likely continue doing what you did. If you were already a recluse and from the beginning you were always mananashil and not doing much action, not seen much in society, and not doing much but just doing enough for sharir yatra. आप शुरू से अगर उतने कर्म कर रहे थे, तो once you're a jnani anyway you have no obligation, nobody knows you. So we have in our culture we have had more jnanis that have been unknown. The known are very few examples. That's why we have very few examples, because most people have been unknown. Many, this culture, this knowledge has created the jnanis. Okay?
They've chosen to be unknown.
if they have followers, then
Sorry?
if they have followers, then they have to do Loka Sangraha.
Then
right?
they
If
have to.
followers.
Definitely. They have to. They have, that's their choice. The Shastra, see, that's why we will just stick to, now when we ask such questions, we are now putting it into individual cases. Individual cases is not for us to examine. This is Shastra's guidance. Individual, we have to choose ourselves. And whoever is individually there, उनकी situation क्या है, कैसी है, so we cannot generalize it into anybody else's situation. Clear?
If we would go by the teaching, it says, right, if you have people looking up to you, then you have to do loka samgama, right?
That is general thing. You ought to do. But individually, people don't know, we don't know what each one's life situations are. So individually, what one is doing, I would keep it as a benefit of doubt. If supposing they should be and they don't, there may be a reason. Let's give it a benefit of doubt and let's not conclude that उन्हें भी करना चाहिए, क्यों नहीं करते, हम कौन होते हैं कहने वाले ये सब, है ना. हमारा काम नहीं है ये कहना कि उन्हें करना चाहिए कि नहीं करना चाहिए. हमारा काम है हमें क्या करना चाहिए. शास्त्र हमें गाइडेंस दे रहा है, हमें हमें वो क्वालिफाई नहीं कर रहा है कि हम किसी और को जज कर पाए.
We are nobody as judge.
हाँ, वो
Yeah.
हमें वो फ्रीडम नहीं दे रहा शास्त्र.
But for us, this applies. Like if
For us, yes.
we have
Yes, and you will also learn the exception as you keep growing in knowledge. कि अगर आपके followers हैं भी और 1% chance that you fall into a cat, there'll always be except. Vedas is one knowledge which is not how do you put rigid, which is not rigid.
very democratic.
Very
Yeah.
what? It's
Democratic, very adjusting.
Correct. Yes. So it keeps a huge margin of individual variations because karma hai, karma is flexible. Will hai, human will hai, human purusharth hai. So purusharth is flexible. आप कुछ कर रहे थे, आप अपनी गति बदल भी सकते हो. So you cannot be rigid in that sense. But once you have knowledge, it becomes fairly clear what is the path that is right for you. Okay, yes, let's end here. We'll continue tomorrow, and this is another verse now which is going to bring us into why are अज्ञानी so attached to their karma phal. क्यों इतने attached है और ज्ञानी कैसे सोचता है उसको. So the contrast is again coming in 27th and 28th verse कि अज्ञानी अटैच कर्म फल से होके अपने आप को कर्ता मानता है. अज्ञानी जो है वो क्या देखता है. That is going to be shown in 27 and 28. Okay. Let's conclude.
सर्वेषां स्वस्तिर्भवतु, सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु, सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु, सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु. ॐ सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्. ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण महीं महिषा. गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यं. लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु. काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः, पृथ्वी सस्यशालिनी. देशोऽयं शोकरहितः, ब्राह्मणाः सन्तु निर्भयाः. हरि ओम्.
Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om.
Recording has stopped.
Thank you, everyone. Dhanyavad.
Thank
The
you, Dipti
broadcast
ji. Hari
Facebook
Om.
Live has
Thank
stopped.
you.
Thank you. No questions, I believe. Then
Thank you, Didi ji.
thank you, Ji. धन्यवाद. See you
Hari
tomorrow.
Om, Didi ji.